And so here we are. Good morning. Good morning. And so the divine power of order, the power of divine order, it all fits. This morning we are reminding ourselves that we each have these 12 creative powers that are fundamental to us. These are aspects of the Christ nature. These are aspects of us. And understanding the true potential of these creative energies and how to engage them and how to express them as who we are leads to living lives that are richly, richly blessed. It was Unity co-founder Charles Fillmore who was so strongly influenced by the transcendental movement, who went on a committed spiritual search. It led him to Eastern spirituality, which he integrated with Christianity. And he recognized and identified this 12 power system that we have come to know as the 12 powers more than a century ago. The 12 powers provide for us a system for soul growth, for soul maturity. And we've been talking a lot lately about soul, that we are soul that has a body and an ego and a personality. We are not that body. We are not that personality. We are not that ego. We are so much more. We are soul, and soul comes from spirit. And so these are spiritual tools, these 12 powers that help us, that create a life, as the Apostle Paul said, that where we are no longer storm-tossed. We are no longer storm-tossed by difficulties and challenges to our faith, for we all experience it, those difficulties, those circumstances, those life events. And it is not comfortable when we feel that we are at mercy of those circumstances, of those life events. And through these 12 powers, we can reach a place within us where we no longer feel storm-tossed. We no longer feel at mercy of the things that happen in our lives. We have the tools that we can use, the things that happen in our life for growth. And so our minds, our intellect can be a link to the awareness of God through these 12 capacities, these 12 expressions: wisdom, love, strength, faith, imagination, order, understanding, will, power, zeal, release, and life itself. These powers are based in the reality of the divine within all people, within you and within me, within all people. Now, the notion that each one of us holds the divine within us, that we have a spiritual nature and that we have humanity, is not new. However, many people do not have a method, a way, the tools for developing their spiritual expressions to manifest in this world, to be expressions of the divine attributes, flowing not only through us, but flowing as us. And what the 12 powers does is provides a deep, direct awareness of the connection with the divine. And this can be realized as the power of resilience and even radiance. Yes, even radiance. And with practice, these inherent powers, these capacities mature, they become ingrained, they become our second nature. And the work forms a reliable foundation for developing our fullest potential while creating a life that is meaningful, that's fulfilling, and that is giving. Order is the intelligence of the universe expressing as each of us. An affirmation could be that my life is balanced and in order, and all is well. We are proof of divine order, you and I. Order is mind, idea, expression, and we are the divine order because we are the expression. We are the expression of the divine. I'd like to take a moment and have you look around the room, or if you're on Zoom, look around the Zoom room at one another and repeat with me to someone, you are an expression of the divine. You are an expression of the divine. You are an expression of the divine. And then breathe that in. You have given it and you have received it. You are an expression of the divine. And understanding divine order, we can embrace the paradox and navigate chaos while keeping our balance. Even during challenging times, the possibility for transformation is always there. In practical spirituality, that means for me that the light, the order, the wisdom of the divine permeates all things. The presence of God is available even in the most chaotic and challenging times. That means that the transformation is available. The possibility of transformation is always present right where I am. And I call upon divine order for balance in my daily spiritual journey. If I'm feeling overwhelmed with responsibilities or life feels out of balance, I turn away from the outer appearances. I turn within and I picture my life as a beautiful path, a journey of discovery and joy. And then one step at a time, I move forward into that which is mine to do. I see all aspects of my life in order against a backdrop of gratitude and spiritual purpose and direction. And if I'm wishing for something that has not yet appeared, I trust that the good comes to me in divine timing. I see my body working in divine order. It is healthy, whole, and full of energy and life. And I'm going to repeat that. I see my body working in divine order. It is healthy, whole, full of energy and life. I take time to appreciate nature, its beauty, its balance, and its perfect timing. I delight in the symmetry of a seashell or the layers of art that I see in the clouds. And I create a sense of order in my home, in my work and activities. And when I do, I discover balance and peace all around me and within me. Now on the slide for my talk today, it showed a beautiful spiral, colorful, perfect. And a spiral is a beautiful example of divine order. However, that's not always what I think of when I think of balance as it unfolds in my life. It is more like a cairn. A cairn is a man-made pile of stones. And Janet, if you're able to move to the slide of the sea glass, if you can put that up on the slide for us. I'm not sure if you can switch back or not from Zoom to that. Isn't that beautiful? It's a beautiful balance of sea glass, so smooth. The colors are warm and it just looks like they've been aged through the tossing of the sea. That is a beautiful depiction of order, of what our life might look like. But I tend to think it's more like the second slide. Janet, if you can move to the next one. This is more akin, probably, to what we experience. We've got some rough edges. We've got some smooth edges. That's kind of a teetering balance at times, but it is still balance. It is still balance. Thank you, Janet. Those are depictions that can kind of help us imagine what we're talking about when we talk about balance, allowing those sharp edges to be there, allowing pieces to not always firmly fit together. But we do affirm that there's one presence and one power in my life, and all else falls into place. And when it does, I claim divine order now. So when life throws us into disarray, we can have faith in the law of the universe. To say it is all in divine order is not simply a platitude or a glib statement. We can really embrace the full scope of what it means. So let's refresh our hearts and our minds about what it means to say, to believe, and experience. It is all in divine order. Order is the law of the universe. There is a divine and perfect order to all of life. To me, divine order is asking what is mine to do through prayer and meditation, and then trusting and allowing that process to take place. I often end my time in quiet with, I let go, knowing it is so. For one of the most important aspects of prayer and meditation is releasing and trusting, having faith. You wouldn't dig up a seed that's been planted in your garden to see if it's taking root and growing. And prayer and meditation are the seeds that we plant. And order is the process of life unfolding within each seed. Digging it up, digging the seed up to double check its progress is really an exercise in fear and doubt, the opposite of what we want to see in our lives. Can you remember a time when you were tempted or have tried to dig up the seeds of your prayers instead of allowing the process of manifestation to occur? I certainly can. For I have often said in my past that patience is a virtue. It just wasn't one of mine. I can at times be an impatient person. I have a sense of urgency about things. I like action, forward movement. I like to know that there's progress and to remember there's time, there's my time, and there's God's time. And God's timing is always for what is in my highest and greatest good. I can't say that about my own timing. And I believe that God's timing is for my highest and greatest good with all my heart. I truly do. Now, that doesn't mean that I don't take some sort of action. We ask for guidance and then we move forward with that guidance. It is reminded of last fall when I was talking to the board. My inner guidance prompted me to want to be more involved with Unity of the Keys, more than just a guest speaker. And I was talking with another church at that time as well. It's doing something similar. And the board really wasn't ready. And so I decided I was working on my timing and I needed to back up and not push the river. And allowed myself until that divine guidance came again. And I emailed Nancy Bishka and I said, I'm still here. I'm still here. And voila, here I am today. And thank you. I remember very clearly a time when I thought I was ready for a new relationship, a meaningful, loving, supportive relationship. And I had had a long pause, a few years that I was absolutely not interested in another relationship. But eventually I recognized that I was ready, or I thought I was. If I had rushed things in my time, I would have missed out on the most amazing relationship I've ever been fortunate enough to experience. And that is the one with my husband, Denny. I didn't know that I had to wait for him to move to Panama City, to buy a sailboat, to sail that boat to St. Petersburg, to decide to stay there for a while and live on his boat, and then for him to decide to come to my home church. And then another series of events that led to me meeting him. Silly me. In hindsight, it was perfect timing, not my timing, but it was absolutely perfect. Another more recent example is when Denny and I made the decision to purchase a home here in Hot Springs, Arkansas. We had said we were never going to own a house again, but we fell in love with the area and we loved the house that we were leasing, but the owner did not want to sell it. And so every time we would go out with our realtor and look at other homes and come back, we would find ourselves just breathing easier here in our home. For every house we looked at lacked in comparison something to where we were already living. For our home is tucked on a little cul-de-sac in an expensive forest. We only have 3 houses on our whole block. Every other home, the homes on the lakes, were too noisy and too close together, and just no other neighborhood felt as warm and as quiet and as private and comforting as where we were. And we actually chose a couple of other houses and then decided it wasn't for us, and we stopped looking. A couple months later, we're out in our car, first time in 2 or 3 months, we're out in our car just doing some drive-bys for some properties that are on sale. And while we were in the car, our realtor friend calls us and tells us that the owner of the house we were leasing had changed his mind and wanted to sell it for the price we had offered him before. No pushing, no frantic negotiations, just easy, so perfect. And I'm sure that you can recall a time or two when you were tempted to push forward, even when there were flags, when there were signs that told you to slow down. And when you slowed down, everything unfolded. It fell into place even better than you could have imagined. And so we allow the universe to unfold in what is in our highest and greatest good. And we don't know what that is, but we trust that the universe, that God, that spirit, that all that is does know. We are rowing gently down the stream. We're not pushing the river. We're not pulling somebody else's boat. We're not adding a motor to the back so that we can go faster. We're rowing gently down the stream, maybe even lifting our oars from time to time and allowing ourselves to be carried along our spiritual path, enjoying the ride, enjoying the glide down that river, the river of our life. And even though I say patience was not one of my virtues, fall is one of my favorite seasons. It's a season of releasing. When it looks as if nothing is growing on the outside and leaves are falling, at least they are here, trees are beginning to look barren, and yet things are teeming with life inside, preparing for winter and then spring. And so fall is a time when we release and we let go, and it is forward movement with a sense of calm, of resting, and of releasing. When I take time to ponder my natural surroundings, I see how important it is to trust divine order in every situation. There is one presence and one power moving in and through us as us in divine and perfect order. Trust and know this to be true in your own life. We touch that center, God within us, and having contact with it, we feel the assurance that all is well. Trusting in the movement of spirit, the love and wisdom of our soul, and responding to the guidance of God's very presence, the outcome is always better and usually very different than we could have ever expected. When we're truly centered in spirit, each outcome is exactly what we need at the time for balance and for our highest good. And when we view our lives from this broader perspective, we see that each episode along the way, no matter how difficult at the time, has proven to be a stepping stone to greater good. Out of every twist and turn, we've been divinely led further along the pathway to the awareness of God, enhancing our relationship with God, our interconnectedness with the divine. There is always a divinely perfect solution underlying every challenging situation. No matter how far we may have strayed from our good, God knows a direct route back to our bliss. Centered in spirit, we can walk with a sureness of foot, without fear and with great confidence that all is well. As I affirm that there is one presence and one power as my life, all else falls into place. I claim divine order now. Say, I claim divine order now. Again, I claim divine order now. One last time. I claim divine order now. Declare it, own it, and so it is. God bless you.